And we have a couple people online, one of whom is probably my grandmother, which is great. Grammy. Yes.
Like the award.
Today, we're going to be talking about Epiphany, the Feast of Epiphany, and what it might mean for us today and in our lives. I much prefer thinking about Epiphany than thinking about New Year's resolutions, personally. If you are big in on New Year's resolutions, I will not steal that joy from you. But I find that the guidance of an Epiphany star feels more meaningful and a little gentler. So then when inevitably, a month from now, I have lost track, I can reorient myself towards that star without feeling any guilt about it. Whereas I think New Year's resolutions, sometimes we get a week from now and are like, well, I failed one of those days, so I'm going to give up. Maybe you're better at reorienting than I am. First, I'll start us by talking about Epiphany house blessings. And I'll start us with a prayer from Jan Richardson, who is an author of many devotionals. And she writes this prayer speaking of the year as a house. So the ways that we might visualize a year more spatially. It goes like this. Think of the year as a house. Door flung wide in welcome, threshold swept and waiting, a graced spaciousness, opening and offering itself to you. Let it be blessed in every room. Let it be hallowed in every corner. Let every nook be a refuge, and every object set to holy use. Let it be here that safety will rest. Let it be here that health will make its home. Let it be here that peace will show its face. Let it be here that love will find its way. Here let the weary come, let the aching come, let the lost come, let the sorrowing come. Here let them find their rest, and let them find their soothing, and let them find their peace, and let them find their delight. And may it be in this house of a year that the seasons will spin in beauty. May it be in these turning days that time will spiral with joy. And may it be that its rooms will fill with ordinary grace, and light spill from every window to welcome the stranger home. Wherever you make your home, may it be blessed, and may you enter this Epiphany and the coming year in peace. Amen. I'll start with a story about arriving at seminary. So I got to seminary, and I noticed that there was a strange code written above every door in our seminary apartments. It looks a lot like what I have here. I had never heard of an Epiphany chalking of a door. So I arrived at seminary and was like, oh no, I have joined a cult unintentionally. Here I am, day one. I was incredibly confused at why these chalk letters were above all of the doors. And it actually took a little while into seminary for me to learn anything about what it meant. I was kind of afraid to ask. So it took until Epiphany of that first year for me to start to understand, oh, this is part of a blessing that admittedly looks a little cryptic over a door if you've never heard of it before. So this is a way of blessing a home at the start of a new year. So you'll notice on either side of the blessing, you have the years written out, so 2025, believe it or not. And in the middle, CMB, which stands for Christus Mansionem Benecat, which is Latin for Christ bless this house. There's also a somewhat apocryphal understanding of this, that the CMB could stand for the three wise men, Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar. I'm not sure that I buy that. The Latin makes a little more sense to me, but we can have multiple meanings for this. But this chalking of a door is an opportunity. There's a whole liturgy for it, and if you're curious about it, let me know, and I'll either come do it or I'll send you the liturgy. I think it's a really fun tradition. But there's a whole liturgy that goes through. There's a prayer that goes with each word and symbol, and a way of blessing the home through which, via the door where you enter that home. So kind of a neat way to start the year, if that's of interest to you. I offer it up as an Epiphany practice. It's always done with chalk because chalk is effectively dust. So just like at Ash Wednesday, when we are reminded that we are made of dust and to dust we shall return, it is these ordinary substances of the earth that invite us into a new year. I also like to think about the Epiphany star and stardust when I think about this chalk, which just sounds like a glitterier version of the chalk. But an interesting way to remind us that we are rooted, we are grounded, we are of an ordinary substance, but set apart for holy purposes, as are our homes. These places of hospitality, a safe and peaceful outpost of the kingdom of God, and habitations of healing and rest. So if that sounds like a thing that you need in your home, try chalking your door and see what comes of it. And then maybe see if your neighbors ask any questions. As I said, I was too scared to ask. The next thing I want to talk about is star words. Has anyone heard of the practice of star words? This is new. I had not heard of these until seminary either, all the things you learn in seminary, and actually did not know any Episcopalians who use the practice of star words. Angela, who is my wife, who's Presbyterian, grew up with star words. Apparently it's a much more regular practice in the Presbyterian Church and in some other denominations. But it's the idea that you pick a word that will be your guiding star for the year. So as I said, an alternative or an addition to a New Year's resolution. And you can either do this entirely at random, and I have words that you can pick from if you would like, or you can do a reflection that can guide you to a word. So I'll guide us through a reflection together, and then if you reach a word through that, great, it might be your guiding star. If you don't reach a word, or you'd like to pick at random and see what God offers you in that, that's available as well. So I'm going to pass around a little sheet that I made. I made this as part of a journaling workshop. I had an Advent portion of the journal as well as this Epiphany portion, grounding ourselves in those liturgical practices. Rick, can I ask you to pass those around? And I have pens in there as well. Yes, please. I don't know the exact origins of this practice, but I think it's fun. Many places will have a basket of actual stars that have all the words on them. There's a clergy friend of mine, one of the few Episcopalians I know who really embrace this practice, who has made a small side business of handwriting and cutting all of these stars and sending them to other churches. That's her prayer practice in Advent, is to sit and write stars forever and ever. She loves it and has sent me many things about star words in the past years. So if you'll play along for a bit. We'll do some reflection on the year that has passed and on hopes for the year ahead. So you might think of this as an extended meditation that we'll do together. And for anyone online, I will read the questions aloud, so you're not missing anything. Let's start first with thinking about what you're proud of in the year past. You can write that down. You can call it out for the rest of us to cheer for you. What are you proud of? Yeah, what are you proud of, Bob? Your children and grandchildren, wonderful. Yeah. Yes, Tom says him too. Any noteworthy achievements in the room over the past year? I'm sure there are, but anyone who'd like to brag on themselves? Or let us rejoice with you, more so than bragging?
I'm learning to play the bass.
Rick is learning to play the bass. Very cool. Okay, but you've started. I think starting is something to be proud of. I've started learning to play banjo. I know 3 chords, so it's a start. It's a start. Yeah. Mm-mm.
Banjo teacher told me I'm the only person who ever made a banjo sound sad. Not proud of that.
It's okay.
Yeah, which side?
What else are folks feeling proud of this year? Replacing a 70-year-old septic system. I would absolutely mark that as an achievement for the year. Good work. Good work. Yeah. No major moral failings. I like that. Yeah.
That's what you're hoping.
Cross-country move. Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I've talked about having informal gatherings to just feed a bunch of people, and made that happen in soup nights this fall, which I mentioned in a sermon. So I feel really excited about that, about just letting go of all of the reasons not to do it, and just starting. I feel proud of that. I wonder how you want to grow this year, which might mean things that you didn't get to do this year but are hopeful for in the future. Or it might be something totally new. How do you want to grow? Does anybody want to call something out? Continuing to learn bass or banjo.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping to spend more time quilting. I've signed up for a sew along with a bunch of people on the internet, so we'll see how that goes. What hopes are in the room? Or I guess that's a different question on here, actually. Okay, we'll go to the next thing. What are you hopeful for this year? It might be related to things that you're proud of or ways that you want to grow, or it might be totally unrelated. What are you hopeful for? Yeah. So if we understand life as a journey, accepting the movement on that path, which might mean aging, being at peace with that, yeah. Yeah. I appreciate the subtlety of that too, that it doesn't have to be this huge, grand hope. It can be having peace with where you are and where the journey takes you. Yeah, a lot of small steps. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you look back a year from now, are there things you hope you will have done? There's some really good thinking faces. What are you excited about this year? Yeah. Say that again. Playing the piano. That's very exciting. Do you have particular hopes related to playing the piano? A song you want to learn? Not yet. All right. Report back. We'll be excited to hear what you've learned. Or maybe you can play it for us one day. What else are you excited about? Yeah.
With Road Scholar, I'm taking a 10-day trip with my 13-year-old grandson to Italy.
Amazing. Tom is headed on a trip to Italy with his 13-year-old grandson as part of the Road Scholar program. That's great. That should be fun. I want to hear back about that one, too. We have at least one upcoming wedding, which I presume is exciting. I am too. Any other excitement in the year ahead? Are there things you're dreading in the year ahead? Probably. Is there a theme that emerges for you as you consider the ways that you've answered these questions? There's a couple more people.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so given the many surprises in 2024, I'm kind of like, wow, what will we be surprised by in 2025? And will we be happy with it, or will we be sad with it?
Yeah.
But, you know, things could not have gone worse for peace in the world. So I hope things break somewhere toward peace.
Yeah. Lots of surprises in 2024. What surprises does 2025 hold for us? Particularly around hopes for peace. What other themes are emerging for you as you reflect and look ahead? When I did a similar exercise just for myself in the past week, themes that came up for me were community and creativity. We've sort of named those in the time we've been together so far. Finding new ways to be in community and to avoid isolation. It's so easy to create a world in which we only rely on ourselves, and I don't actually think that's what God intends us for. So some of that is intentionally cultivating community, and some of that is asking for help from community and showing up when others ask for help. And continuing to be creative. That's an important outlet for me in lots of different ways. Quilting, painting, collaging, all the stuff. What else?
Mm-hmm. I live in Arkansas, and I have sister friends there who are absolutely precious. And one regularly, repeatedly has had small groups for dinner and just shown through her love through having.
Yeah, showing appreciation through dinner parties. Showing that appreciation particularly for community and life in community. May I ask where in Arkansas you are? Russellville. I was in Fayetteville before coming here. Themes of surprise, appreciation, peace, community. A discipline of joy is one that I've seen sort of floating around in the internet, all that stuff. That joy is a practice, not something that just happens to us. Is there a clear guiding word that has emerged for anyone? No need to have reached a full epiphany. Mm-hmm. Peace. Kathleen's word is peace. Yeah. Yeah, internally and for the world. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you have a word you wanted to share?
The nice way of putting it is like acknowledging change and transition, and the more snarky way is just to recognize to embrace chaos.
The nice way to say it is to move through transition, and the snarky way to say it is to embrace chaos. I like both ways of saying that. I think both are honest in different ways. And sometimes it is just chaos. Like, to name that is okay. And I think we can be a little more comfortable with it if we allow ourselves to embrace it, whatever that looks like. How embracing chaos feels or looks. Do you have ways that you plan to embrace chaos?
Regularly reminding myself that I'm not in control.
Regular reminders that we are not in control is one. Yeah. For me, sometimes embracing chaos means leaning into creativity, which sometimes wreaks chaos on my home. Angela will attest. That if I'm already in the chaos, I may as well get out glitter glue, too. There is glitter glue out in my office, yes. And little angel wings. Any other ideas for embracing chaos?
Chaos is the only word I had.
John's word is chaos.
And my life is chaos. I think it's really important to recognize, we use lightning rod as a negative. We talk about people as lightning rods, and we never say that in a nice way. But what lightning rods do is take chaos and divert it away from your home or the thing you want to protect and disperse it into the ground. So sometimes the way to embrace chaos is to be a lightning rod.
That'll preach. So John said, often when we think about lightning rods, we depict that in a negative way. But actually, the work of a lightning rod is to take that chaos and to channel it into the ground rather than to allow that lightning to cause harm. So perhaps embracing chaos is acting as a lightning rod. I love that image. I think that's great. Yeah.
I see it like standing in the ocean.
Standing in the ocean.
Wave grab me and take me somewhere and let me go somewhere, and I have no idea where I'm going until I get up.
Yeah. Yeah, standing in the ocean and letting the waves carry you.
Yep.
And not knowing where we're headed. Yeah. Which I think is something that many of us enjoyed as children. I know that I loved getting into the waves and just sort of bouncing around in the water in that way. And eventually, after a while of doing that, you'd realize you were way down the beach just because of the movement of the water. And I loved that as a kid. But I wonder, what does that look like in our lives more broadly as a metaphor? Any other words, themes that people have identified that they want to share aloud? I also still have my random words that I can offer up. Hope. Yeah. What is that? Growth. Joy. Joy, yeah. Needing joy. Creating joy. We've named 3 of the Advent candles, so I'll also add love into the mix.
Passing on the gift. It's like borrowing that from Heifer Project. But we can pass on God's gift of love by being open in our time.
Yeah. Passing on the gift in our time, in our care. That's one of the things that we talk about here when we say we're a church on a mission to live God's love, is that through the gift of receiving God's love, we're able to share that out. Passing the gift along. Would anyone like to draw a random word? And if your word really annoys you, it's probably the right one.
Stop it.
What is it? Angela's word is restraint. If it annoys you, it might be the right one. Would either of you?
Right? Thank you. Almost as good as chaos.
Trustworthiness. That's okay. Acceptance, freedom, endurance. Would you like one? Confidence. Celebration. What are we celebrating this year, Judy? Just life? Getting through it?
Why not?
Would you like one?
Ooh, integrity.
Integrity.
Ooh.
Dedication. Would y'all like to draw a word? Would you like one? Just a word that might guide your year, in addition to what you've come up with, your word of joy.
I think we can stay that busy.
Who else would like to draw a word?
I'll pick one. I'm not
Let's
easily
see.
annoyed.
If it really feels like the wrong word, you can pick another one. But I find often when do you want to tell us? No.
Like a 14.
I would say he got it.
But sometimes the thing that annoys us a little bit on first glance is exactly the gift that we need to receive in that moment. So whether you came up with a word of your own as we reflected together, or drew a word, or both, I invite you to reflect on that word as the year goes on. Maybe stick it in a place that you'll see it. They make good phone backgrounds, or put it on a mirror or something like that where you'll see it regularly and be reminded of that practice. And I'd love to see how it goes along as we make it through this year together. Thanks for reflecting with me. Appreciate it. Happy New Year. And Merry Christmas, because it's our last day of Christmas. Thank you all.